Have you seen the new Trail Finder 3 from RC4WD? Maybe you're as excited as I am because I got the 20-year special edition. So as you may know, I went down to the Ultimate Scale Truck Expo in Florida, Williston, Florida, good old Williston this year. And while I was there, I got to see an unboxing of this special edition Trail Finder 3 that just came out from RC4WD. Now there's only 200 of these guys made. When we started the video, Nick down at Holmes Hobbies, aka RC Jesus, he said they had 8 of them available. And by the time all of us in that little cabin had seen this and passed it around, he had 0 available on there. So I don't know if you can still buy these guys. This 20-year anniversary, this is a special edition. It's got really slick paint job. I don't know what other changes, maybe the wheels, maybe there's some other things that are gonna be different. We'll have to know in the future, looking at the new rigs when they come out. But I got this special edition for quite a few reasons. It is super scale. Maybe not like perfectly scale all around, but looking at it, it's got a, relatively full interior. The paint job is phenomenal. I don't know if the lights are bright enough to pick this up, but it's a really sweet, like a burnt red metal flake or an orange metal flake almost. It's really close to, you can see the red of my jacket against it there. So it looks like red from a distance, but it's really more of an orange. They've got all these, rubber. I didn't put the snorkel top on top because I didn't want to lose it, to tell you the truth. Probably need to do something like an RTV to keep that secure. But such a scale rig, a sweet scale rig. I already have the body taken off. It has 2 screws in it and then 2 clips in the back of the bed. And body just comes right off. It even comes with lights. So it's got our tail lights built in. It's got our headlamps built in. I'm not sure if that's only gonna be for the special edition or if it's gonna be for all of the Trail Finder 3s. But let's take a look at this. And I'm assuming that a lot of this is gonna transfer over from the special edition to the main edition. We have this complete, this is all plastic scale transfer case, transmission, and engine in here, and the brushed motor is jammed into there. On the ride home, my steering actually got loose because the screw wiggled out. But besides that, it's got this old bell crank steering style. I think maybe like the Bruiser used to have or something like that, to where we have our steering link that goes across the front. Then we've got a bell crank over on this side, and then our steering arm that goes back here to our servo. Now, yeah, they got everything routed down just so it'll clear the interior, is my imagination on this. I'm not sure what this ESC is. It kind of looks like a 1060 or some equivalent to a 1060. The smoothness isn't great. It's got a stock 35 turn motor. I am a motor snob. I'm an ESC snob. So when I say the smoothness isn't great, you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's not as smooth as my stuff, is what I should really say, I suppose. We do have a 2-speed in here, and it's a nice wide range 2-speed. So you've heard me complain in the past about 2-speeds and how really you don't need a 2-speed with an electric motor. Even in the full-size world, the Teslas are kind of that's a case study on why you don't need a 2-speed. You just have a big enough motor to do everything that you need to do. And with the magic of software, at least with a brushless, you can get all the speed range that you want. Since they have a brushed motor in this rig, and honestly with the small tires that are on it, it's not overly fast in second gear. It's just fast enough for a leaf spring truck, which these leafs actually feel softer than what would normally come on a TF2, like they've already broken them in or something. I'm not quite sure on that. I'm not the biggest TF2 nerd, mostly because I like high power and they do tend to break. I'm not good about regulating my power all the time. Every now and then I'll kind of get that itch. And the Trail Finder 2, without just completely rebuilding the axles and going pretty far for shimming, they don't always hold up. It's more of a driver's rig in my opinion. Now the differences that this does have between the TF2 that I do know, it has a stamped C channel frame on here. It's not just a a straight machined aluminum frame. This is a stamped C channel. I do believe it does look like it's the thickness for steel. They would not be able to stamp aluminum that thin. It does have, you can tell here, it's wider in the back than it is the front, and maybe that's for suspension reasons. There's certainly a lot more clearance in the front to turn, but in the back your tires don't turn. It still tucks, it doesn't hit the frame. they did a really good job on this guy. And it reminds me of their old bruiser frames too, the way the bruiser frames were wide in the back and narrow in the front. And maybe that is going to be the same frame on the actual Trailfinder 3 when it comes out, but we'll see. But as far as a super scale rig, this thing is heavy, and it's really front heavy too, which is awesome. I love my rigs to have about a 60% forward weight bias. And so for the scaleness of this rig, it climbs really well. I took this on all sorts of trails when I was at USTE, had a great time with it. You know, it wasn't the most capable rig, but that made me actually have to drive. I don't have the rear bumper installed on here. The bumpers are actually machined aluminum. I think they're machined aluminum. That's, yeah, it looks like machined aluminum. Maybe it's cast, who knows? It doesn't really matter. But they're solid aluminum and they're really heavy. And so to get that forward weight bias, and I knew I wouldn't be like bashing the rear. You can tell I didn't bash the rear up at all, even though I did get some scratches on the body. Oh, that's a beautiful body. I was driving it like a scale rig. I did not want to scratch it, but I did have a couple of rollovers here and there. But for just kind of tooling around on the trail, and when you want to go out and not have the most capable rig, but have a rig that you have to scale drive, this is just perfect for it. The Trailfinders have always been great for that. They're just, you've heard me rant on the channel before. When you get a rig that's too capable, it can be difficult to find lines to drive it on. But this guy with the relatively short wheelbase, it's just a joy to drive because it is so scale. And the leaf springs, you know, it doesn't have a ton of articulation. They'll break in even more over time. They do have shackles on the front too, shackles front and rear. So it's like they did what everybody already does to their rigs. Did they do the Chino mod? They probably didn't. There is no Chino mod on here, which is essentially making the eyelets a little narrower on the end of your leaf springs. That way they get a little bit more twist to them. They have not done the Chino mod, so if you want a more flex, you can just do that right out of the box. But otherwise, this is going to find a place on the shelf, and I am going to try to not beat it up too hard. I'll probably install one of my motors on here. The drag brake wasn't you know, that great. Like I was saying, the startup wasn't that great, but that's me being me and a snob about stuff. So I'll do a higher quality motor. I probably won't go brushless because we do have this scale motor inside, and we'll have to be careful about the wiring. And if I put too much power into it, it might break some parts. But maybe they change that. I haven't looked inside the axles. Maybe somebody from RC4WD can tell me one way or the other. Did they change the axles inside any higher quality materials on this particular one, the special edition release or anything like that? That would be good to know. But otherwise, I'd probably do something. Even our sealed can motors, our sport motors are going to be an upgrade on the motor in here. And I like the BRXL ESC. There's plenty of room underneath for BRXL, about yay underneath the bed. So I'll do that. I might increase the power to the steering, just because, you know, I've got a lot of servos laying around, and it actually wasn't that bad with the stock servo, but these are tiny tires as well. So, you know, that may be just, we'll see in the future. We will have to see in the future, but it was such a good looking rig, especially for ready to run. They knocked it out of the park at RC4WD. Now, once again, I got this from RC Hobbies Orlando, down in Orlando, Florida, from my buddy Nick, and he goes by RC Jesus online. I think he might have his YouTube going, but I know he has a Facebook going. And if you got any questions about toys, Nick is the man. RC Jesus is the man to ask. He has been in the RC industry for so long, and he is an enthusiast, and that's one of those guys that if you really want to know what's up in the industry and the down low on some new release, you want to talk to an enthusiast and not just a shop owner. And so I can highly recommend, they don't have a website, but I can highly recommend, you can always call them up, you can place special orders through them, and RC Hobbies Orlando is going to be able to get you sold on that. And not just fluff you up with a bunch of extras on the sales too. I always trust him to not blow smoke up my butt for stuff and give me the real lowdown on a product, and I don't have to worry about that. So yeah, Nick, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, and he sold me on one of these after I saw the actual review going down. So yeah, once again, I can recommend him. And this is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful rig. I mean, they got the rock rails on there. It's just, it just looks good. And sometimes, you know, I'm kind of going more and more here and there towards the hobbyist side, towards the scale side of things, because, you get too capable of a rig, and sometimes they just aren't fun. Sometimes you want to go out and have rocks this large be extremely difficult to get over. So maybe that's what we'll do. I don't know if I'll do it today, but this week is going to be beautiful weather. We're going to go out and wheel this thing, have some fun on the rock pile back there, and see how it does. So if you do have any questions about it, put them down below. I'll do my best to get to them. And as always, thanks for tuning in and have a great day.